Right, today or yesterday is the anniversary of the Battle of Cable Street. It was on the telly on BBC News this morning or yesterday morning. Very good. I've been down to Cable Street. There's a big mural there. There's a photograph of me somewhere on Facebook at this mural, looking at the mural. A proud day in British history because the British working class stood up to the fascists of Oswald Mosley's black shirts. Oswald Mosley was Britain's version of Hitler. He wanted to march through the East End and have his own Kristallnacht. He wanted to smash up Jewish businesses, blame Jews for everything, probably kill Jewish people. The guy was a monster. So, all well so far, the BBC is reporting it, but what they don't tell you is that Oswald Mosley and his fascists had a police escort at the time. And what they don't tell you also is that people went to hospital after that protest. It turned very violent. And the last point they'll never tell you is that some of those people who went to hospital, some of the people who died, were killed by police truncheons and police horses. The police were on the side of Oswald Mosley and his fascists. Also in the news at the moment, coincidentally, is this story about Insulate Britain, who are holding up motorways in collusion with the police because they want houses and buildings to be better insulated for the environment. Now, I agree we should have better insulation, but I'm not sure of the link between holding up motorways. But what's interesting about this is the video that's going around of a senior police officer at one of these Insulate Britain protests saying to the protesters, I hope you're comfortable. If there's anything we can do, anything you need, just give us a shout and we will try to help you. We'll do the best we can to help you. I can tell you, when it's a working class protest, a Palestine protest for the rights of the people of Palestine, or a protest for the rights of asylum seekers to stop deportation, or anti-poverty, that's not the way the police behave. They behave in the same way as they did with Oswald Mosley, right? That they act in opposition. They try to stifle the protests, and they're usually fairly handy about it as well. They're a bit liberal with the use of their little truncheons, or they're not so little. So it got me thinking, somebody on Facebook, I'm sorry, I've forgotten who it was, put forward this idea this morning. What if these protests of Insulate Britain are really just a ploy by the authorities, because the government wants to bring in, they've got this police bill, so they want to bring in tougher laws, anti-protest laws, get Keir Starmer on board, which that's not difficult because he's anti-working class anyway. And then the public will be supportive because they'll say, oh yeah, we do need better anti-protest laws because, oh look, they held up the motorways, we can't have that happening. And then I remember I was down in London a couple of years ago before lockdown. I was working, and there's another photo of me on Facebook talking to the protesters in Oxford Circus. They had a boat in Oxford Circus, and they'd tied themselves to this boat, chained themselves to this boat, and they're holding up traffic. Extinction Rebellion, again, that was a climate protest. And so I'm talking to these guys, and they say, oh, you see, the police, they just respect us. They respect us because we're non-violent. And I'm thinking, well, the Palestine and working class protests in Scotland, they're non-violent, but I'll tell you, the police are pretty aggressive and often violent with this. So I don't know what your secret is. And then the next thing, these Extinction Rebellion guys, they decided to climb on top of tube carriages to hold up public transport to complain about the environment, to protect the environment. And nobody could understand it, even me. I'm not middle class enough to understand that. What are you talking about? So public transport is good for the environment. I would have thought, it's better than, 1,000 people in 1,000 motor cars, but 1,000 people in 100 tube trains or 10 tube trains or whatever, right? So it's better. No, not according to Extinction Rebellion. Anyway, the good working class people of London decided, fuck this pish, and pulled the Extinction Rebellion people off the top of the tube trains, gave them a bit of a kicking and sent them on their way, because they wanted to get home for their tea and to look after their families. Extinction Rebellion people were very surprised and couldn't understand it. They said, oh, but we were non-violent. So that's not the way it works, mate. Your police pals were not there to protect you. That's what happened, right? And so welcome to the world of genuine protests, right? This is what we face every day. People, working class people going out and protest. Members of the public will attack you. people from the opposite side of the debate will attack you, and occasionally the police will wade in as well, just for a bit of a laugh. If they're bored, they'll come and attack you as well, physically beat you up. So then somebody on Facebook this morning made the point, maybe, right, conspiracy theory, but quite a good one, maybe these motorway protests, which are happening in collusion with the authorities, open collusion with the authorities, aided and abetted and facilitated by the police. Maybe the whole point of these protests is so that the government, when they're introducing the police bill and all this sort of stuff, and even more stringent anti-protest laws, will do this on the basis, the public will then support that because they'll say, oh yeah, we need that because we need to stop people holding up motorways or, holding up Oxford Circus, and that will get public support. Well, that would account for the extremely lenient treatment of the protesters by the police and the collusion by the police. So, something to think about. On a side note, spinning off at a 45-degree angle here, this whole idea of non-violence, you'll always hear middle class talking about non-violence. They love non-violent stuff, by the fact that, when it came to stopping Hitler, non-violence wasn't really an option. They were all over it then. Oh, yes, that's a good idea. Let's drop bombs. And any kind of intervention in the Middle East, the non-violence is never an option. They're quite happy to just go and drop bombs willy-nilly. They love a bit of violence then, then it goes out the window. And they'll talk about, the people of Palestine need to find a non-violent solution to their problems. Hogwash, right? Look at the Warsaw Ghetto, right? Hitler had ghettos all over Europe. I know a bit about Warsaw, so I'll tell you that. Hitler built a wall around the ghetto, put all the Jewish people inside it, told the Jewish people, you all have to wear a yellow star. If you don't, you'll be shot. Told the Jewish people, if you're found outside this ghetto, you will be shot. And the yellow star is to help us shoot you more easily so we can see who you are. The people in the Warsaw Ghetto said, no, we're not doing this. And so they built tunnels under the Warsaw Ghetto. They tunneled out at night, and they bought or they stole or they found or whatever, weapons and ammunition, and they started fighting back. Because the Gestapo was sending in snatch squads to take Jewish civilians, 100 or 200 at a time or 1,000 at a time, off to Treblinka. Death camps, extermination camps. And the Jewish people said no. And Marek Edelman, he was a Jewish doctor, a civilian obviously, inside the ghetto, he became a battalion commander of the resistance. He wrote a book, The Ghetto Fights. And he spoke about how they resisted the Nazis and fought them. They made homemade hand grenades that blew up German Panzer tanks. Can you imagine these civilians? This guy was a doctor, a cardiac surgeon, I believe. And he said they had a choice between a quick death and a slow death, and that's why they chose to fight, and he was one of the few survivors. All right, so fast forward now to 21st century, and it's been going for a while. The Gaza ghetto, the ghetto of Gaza, a direct equivalent of the Warsaw Ghetto. Gaza is the Warsaw Ghetto. The people in Gaza are imprisoned there. Every now and again, the Israelis will launch aerial strikes or artillery. The people in Gaza can't get out, they're walled in. So when Israel starts shelling them or dropping bombs on them from drones or planes, then they just die. It's as simple as that. What are they supposed to do? They're in exactly the same situation as the Jewish people were in the Warsaw Ghetto. So they build tunnels, they get out, they bring weapons in, they bring them back in. And when the Israelis come in, the people in the Gaza ghetto, they try to kill their oppressors. Exactly the same as the people did in the Warsaw Ghetto. But the middle class don't like this. The middle class say, no, it should be a non-violent solution. So they're very selective about when violence is a good idea, when violence is not a good idea. So that's it. There are a couple of random thoughts there, but they are connected. And basically, the theme here is I'm very suspicious about the middle class agenda, about this non-violent resistance. And basically what it is, this whole idea about all these protests and everything should be non-violent, is basically just because then it facilitates the state and the oppression, the oppressors, the police, the British government, the Israeli state, whoever it is. It makes life a lot easier for them, right, when they want to oppress working class people. You go on a pro-Palestine demo, you go on a demo for the rights of asylum seekers, you go on an anti-poverty measure demo, and you will not see the police bending over backwards to be nice. You will see the police quite heavy-handed, quite aggressive, occasionally getting the trudgeons out and smacking someone in the face. That's what you'll see, all right? The only time you'll see the police being nicey and cuddly-wuddly is when it's a pre-planned protest that's in collusion, it's probably planned by the government in the first place, like this Insulate Britain pish. Now, you may think I'm a conspiracy theorist, but of course I'm not, because I'm right and you're wrong. So ironically, peace out, friends.